Hello, good people. How are you today? How is your day taking you? Thank you so much for stopping by to watch my video. I really appreciate. Welcome to Lydia Ateno channel. If you're a new visitor, feel welcomed. If you're a supporter or an old comer, kindly jisikie uko nyumbani. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about, as from the title you can see what I wanted to talk about. It's from my experience. To note, kindly note, I am not a professional, I'm not a doctor. I'm just sharing with you what happened in my life, what I did. If you want to take one or two things, please take it. If you don't want, up to you. So I want to talk about postpartum depression. This is something that really affects most women, and from research it says that 40% of women who give birth experience postpartum depression. Things have changed. Actually, you'll hear older mothers say nowadays we are different from how they used to give birth and how they survived and blah 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 blah. So many things have changed, and I can attest to that because long time ago, was there postpartum depression? What do you think? Was there postpartum depression? Did women experience postpartum depression? And if so, what did they do about it? Kindly, just on the comment section below, kindly let me know if you've heard of any experience of story or maybe something or a research that you've done to tell us about postpartum depression on earlier days. Let's say our parents, that is like in the 1980s and below. What did they do about postpartum depression? Now, yeah, don't worry much about my hair. Ooh, I'm trying to do everything with this hair. I tried a very nice style. I know you like it. Yes, you do. Where is she? Where is she? Where is that beautiful girl? Who is she? Who is she? Hey, it's me. I'm here. Who are you looking for? Anyway, my hair is looking that bad. But cut this one off. Look at the face and below. Now, if you've not seen my video about my pregnancy experience, my delivery experience, kindly check on my videos. You're able to see what really happened. I had a lot of weight. I ate everything. I developed blood pressure. I gave birth. My baby had a complication and all that. So you can check all that story on my videos. So now I want to tell you, after I gave birth, what really happened, what transpired that made me to maybe be depressed. This is something that I came to learn later, that I was depressed. Apparently, when you're depressed, you're not aware, you don't know, unless you're really self-conscious that you can tell, there's something wrong with me. But maybe the surrounding people, your caregivers, will be able to tell you that this is depression, and they can help you if they notice it at the right time. So now, what really happened? Now, from the story, I gave birth. Normally, it was a normal delivery through the VJJ. And what happens is that my baby was pulled because pushing the baby became a problem, and eventually they used a vacuum extractor to pull the baby outside. So as a result of twisting and turning the baby's head to maneuver the movements, my baby's left arm was affected. Now we're doing good. I know someone has asked me on update on how my son is doing. I will give you an update on that on another video. So now, I came home. The baby was in ICU for around 1.5 weeks, and then after that, we came back home. During there was a transition there and some changes that happened. When we were in the hospital, the baby was in ICU room. Then for 1.5 weeks, and then for about 3 days, he was moved to NICU. The nurses will take care of my baby, from feeding, from washing. I don't know if they were washed. From feeding, from washing, to pampering, if they were needed to sleep and all that. I rarely took care of the baby. because of my blood pressure, which kept on shooting each and every time. So the nurses wanted me to have enough time to heal, or maybe my pressure to come down. It kept on shooting, and I would feel like I'm losing breath, I'm losing my mind. I don't know. There was a lot of things that were happening by that time. So now, that is why we decided not to allow visitors, because we needed some time. Now, what really transpired, or what the changes, as I've mentioned, is that now in the hospital, the nurses were taking care of my baby. Now I had to be discharged. So by the time I'm discharged and I'm going home, it is me and my husband to take care of the baby. So things started going haywire. For me, things started becoming worse, because now I have to take care of this baby. It's my first time I was taking care of my baby in about a span of 2 weeks after birth. Washing the baby, changing their diapers, feeding or breastfeeding the child, and all that. It just dawned on me immediately that I am the one to take care of this baby. And I was so afraid. Because my baby's arm was it was about somehow dark. It was about somehow dark, and it was just there. So I was so scared carrying the baby, or washing the baby, or changing their clothes, because I was so scared. I knew I was hurting the baby, and anytime I would handle the baby will cry. He will cry for quite a long time. I felt like I was losing control, and I felt like I was a very bad mother, because I was not able to take care of him like he was taken care of while back at the hospital. At the hospital, he never used to cry a lot, but now since I came back home, he started crying a lot. And as a result of this, okay, before I say that, then my husband at that time was really committed at work, and he would leave so early in the morning. He had some few days off, like two, because he had taken some most days of his how do they call paternity leave. They take their paternity leave. He had taken it to take care of us in the hospital. So now, coming back home, he was almost done with the 2 weeks. So he was given some few weeks, and he was able to manage sometimes getting in the house earlier, or leaving earlier to come back, leaving early in the morning to come back early in the evening. So he was trying to balance things. But at that point, funnily enough, I had no nanny at that point, and I had my younger sister, who was helping. Now, with all this pressure of my baby crying all the time, and then colic set in. Ooh, the baby was not crying. The baby was crying for everything. If you tell the baby, especially at night, I won't sleep, because the baby will cry all the time. And colic also set in. The baby will be coiling all the time and crying. You try to breastfeed the baby, is not a solution. You try to do. It was quite. For me, it was too much to handle. And then I had a tear during episiotomy was conducted during delivery, like I mentioned on my video. So I am also still healing, and there was a lot of everything going on at the same time. So now, you know what used to happen? I became so irritable. Anything that my husband or my sister will do will irritate me so much. I will always be making noise left, right, and center. Like, this is wrong. No, you don't have to do that. Hey, those who stood me by that time will be with me until death. I was too irritable. Anything you do will irritate me. Any comment you make will irritate me. I was so irritable. And another thing also, I kept on crying. I would cry. And most of the time, after my husband left, he will leave sometimes very early, around 5 in the morning, and immediately he goes. And then maybe he leaves me with the baby still breastfeeding and all that. Immediately he'll go. I will always feel so emotional. I don't know what I was crying about. It wasn't about him not being around. It wasn't about I don't know. I will cry. I will cry. Anytime, any time of the day, I will be crying. And mostly, I will cry in my bedroom. And then when I'm going to shower, I'll always just turn on the shower and let it flow as I cry. I felt a feeling of lowness. It was just lowness, emptiness. I felt confused. I didn't understand in which world was I now. All of a sudden, the baby that I was eagerly waiting for became a bother to me. It became too much for me to handle. Another thing that I also experienced was lack of sleep. Even if the baby will just take a nap for 30 minutes, I will not sleep. As much as I was fatigued, but I could not sleep. I kept on rolling my eyes, looking at the ceiling, like I could not sleep. And my husband will he will always tell me sleep so that I can help you take care of the baby, then we can exchange. But I will pretend that I'm sleeping, but I'm not sleeping. I was consciously awake. Another thing that I can say really affected me was I didn't want to take care of the baby. I didn't want, because like I mentioned, he was crying all the time. I didn't know whether I'm touching him so harshly. I don't know, changing the diaper. I didn't want to take care of the baby, and I don't know, just from the back of the mind, I knew that my baby would not survive. I don't know. I don't know from where. I don't know from where that thought came from. I kept on thinking, this guy is not going to make it. This guy, how would I think of that? And it's only his arm that was hurt, and his oxygen level was stabilized. That's why we were discharged from the hospital. But Satan kept on telling me that he's not going to make it. He's not going to make it. But thanks to my prayerful husband, he kept on praying for us every time he came to the house and every time he was leaving. Anytime he will notice that I'm really burdened and he could not do anything about it, my husband would always kneel down and pray. And that calmed me a little bit because I was so scared of him. I was like, hey, I'm making this man to feel so low. I don't know why I'm doing all this, and I'm really making him to feel so low. So now, what other thing did I? Yes, I didn't want to take care of this baby, and I can tell you for sure that one day, not once, not twice, my sister noticed that the baby will cry, and I will not hear. I would be in the same room with the baby, but the baby is crying, and she will always come. My sister loves kids, and she'll always be like, Lydia, mtoto analia, and I'm like, okay, mchukue mtengeneze. I just wanted the baby to be away, take care of the baby away from me. And another thing that I was also noticing, I wasn't bonding with the baby. There was no connection. Even when I'm breastfeeding the baby, I think I'd just switched the connection button off my mind. So anytime I will breastfeed the baby, I think I was just doing it casually, like, let the baby, this is ini yake, wacha tu akunywe, wacha akunywe, and that's it. So that is all the things that happened, and the climax of it was this day. The climax of it was this day that I just woke up. I made sure that my husband had gone, and I wanted to leave the house. In my mind, I was scheming that if I leave, I'll feel better. I didn't know where I was going, but I thought I wanted to go to see my mom, and I was like, how will my mom take me, blah, blah, blah. So I decided, I just want to go. I want to go. I'm so tired. And at night, I had packed some few clothes in my closet, and I knew tomorrow when I'm leaving, I will carry these few clothes. I will go with them. So that day, as I opened the door, and I just wanted to know, okay, natoka aje, kiatu iko wapi and all that. Then a neighbor came in. And when he came, a neighbor came to visit, and we made stories until she wasted all my time to leave. I did not leave. She wasted all the time. It was in the evening, and I was like, the feeling had gone, and I didn't even remember about leaving any day. I didn't even mention this to my husband. I always mention to him as a joke, and I think he thinks it's a joke. And I was leaving. Mi nilikuwa ni wa kuenda. So, personally, I will say from my experience that postpartum is real. So, some of the symptoms that I've mentioned, all those my feelings are some of the symptoms for depression. And how it comes when what from my experience, what I can define depression to be is that feeling of lawlessness. And when I feel too go down, when I feel too may lose touch with yourself, when I feel you are not you. Personally, I'm a person who like exercising. I'm a person who likes, I'm always happy around the house. I'm a person who, I don't know, I'm just happy. Yes, but all of a sudden I wasn't this person. I lost touch. I didn't know the date. I didn't know the day. I didn't know. And funnily enough, I forgot everything during delivery. I forgot my passwords. I forgot dates. I forgot months. I forgot the year. I forgot. I forgot almost everything for sure. So, personally, like I was saying, it's the feeling of loneliness, emptiness, sadness that unfortunately sets in after you receive your bundle of joy. We really so much we as women, we are always eager to receive our blessing, but unfortunately at times we receive them and this positive and negative feeling just settles in. I think personally, I always say depression is just satanic. It is just Satan who comes and steal your joy like this. It just takes your joy like that, because you can imagine you are so happy you bought the baby clothes and all of a sudden you are not excited anymore. I think it's just a spirit that settles in. But anyway, what do we do after it settled in? What did I do? Now, do you know what I do? I did. Hey, do you know what I do? Do you know what I did? I did nothing. I did nothing about it. Of course, there are some things that I can now reflect and say I did them unconsciously without knowing. But by then, when I had my first child, I didn't do anything about it because I think my surrounding did not notice that I was going through depression. We concentrated so much on the baby's well-being because every morning I used to go for physiotherapy 5 days a week. That is every morning I'm on the road for physiotherapy and all that. We concentrated so much on the baby and forgot about the mother. So now, thanks God to my sister who was supportive and understanding. Even when I was flipping and my moods were always fluctuating all the time, they were there for me. My husband was there for me. And friends, friends were there for me. Oh, church friends, family friends, my sisters, my mom, hey, guys were there for me. And most of the time, by that time that I was going through that, I could not pick people's calls. This normally happens to me. When I deliver, I lose touch with my phone. By the way, even if you drop a text, even if you call me, I will see your call and I will not call back. It's not because I don't want to talk to you. I don't know. I can't even explain it. I will not be picking calls. By the way, my phone will be off even for 3 days and I don't care. I don't give an about it. Anyway, so thanks God, by that time my grandmother came to visit. When the baby was around 3 months, my grandmother came to visit. And for those who have met my grandmother, she's a talkative one. And she'll always be making you happy. And she'll be dancing around the house. So at least I was able to, there was something to entertain me. There was someone different who with different energy, As much as she could not understand what we do to babies nowadays and blah blah blah, but she was always there making me happy. She wants me to take her for a walk, and a few moments I would leave the house, we would go for a walk, and she'll ask you some funny things like, buildings, the way these buildings are tall, how do they climb up there, So your mind was a bit off baby caring situation and your situation. So by the time I'm coming back, I am relieved. So such walks were really, really important. Another thing that I did unconsciously was asking for a help. I got a help now, and this girl was very kind. Dorothy, thank you so much. Dorothy was so kind to my child. She will always, she loved my child so much. Of course, there were so many things that maybe we were arguing or we are not comfortable about, but then she was so happy with the child, and the child found someone who was really supportive. And I also found out that she was so supportive, she cared on how I was doing and all that. Thank you so much. So always when you feel the same way, asking for a help to support you in terms of house calls and all that will be really a good thing. So they were with my sister now. You can imagine all that support. It was overwhelming, and it helped to ease the tension and the pressure on me. Another thing that maybe I did, apart from the walks, talking, I talked. Whenever, actually, I'm very poor on sharing my experiences, or maybe if I'm going through something. But if you are someone who is, there are few people I will always share with my experience. I will always tell them exactly how I feel, and they will always tell me, please take walks, take blah blah blah. And I will also watch other mothers on YouTube, how they, what they are doing, new moms and all that. And when they will mention what they do to get away from the baby or to feel better, maybe taking a walk, a warm bath, what do you do? Going for the spa, how is it called? Pedicure, manicure, and all that. I tried them, and at least I felt better. So, what I can say from experience and from now researching is that postpartum happens, and it is not it is not a spell on you if it happens to you. And if you have an history of mental illness in your family, you are prone to it. And even if you don't have you don't have an history of mental illness, it can happen to you depending on the circumstances of which you've given birth, your birth experience, and maybe the baby's condition and your condition at that time. So it can happen. So asking for help, telling someone exactly how you're handling it, how you're feeling can also really help. Talking to people and doing what you love can really help you. Now, something that I did later that has been working for me and I appreciate is seeking psychotherapy help. This thing, when I got my baby now, my second baby, woo, the first one I did nothing about it, nothing medical, nothing major. But the second baby, when the second baby came, woo, I was losing myself. I lost, not even I lost myself. I lost touch with the world. I became someone else that I didn't want and I didn't know. And I kept on telling my husband sometimes, this Lydia nowadays, I don't like this Lydia that I've become. I don't like it. Personally, I'm a very hardworking person. I am not a stay in person, like staying in the house person. I'm not someone who does not like. I used to like social places, but all of a sudden, I don't want social places. I don't want to meet people. I'm irritable. But I decided to seek therapy, and when I went there, the first time I went there, I cried. I cried. Maybe I will share with you my therapy session or my therapy experience another day. So I cried. The first day I went, I cried. And then there's this evaluation assessment that you do. So after you've done them, they told me that I was going through depression. And when they established that, they've been helping me. We've been working on a journey to look for Lydia, and we are almost finding her. We are almost finding her. So I think will be the end of this video. It's already long, and I don't want to make it any long. So if you've given birth or you're a caregiver, and you notice some of these things on a new mom, kindly help them. Because if you do not take care of a mother with postpartum depression, it might end up to maybe permanent or more serious mental breakdown. So help them out, and it can also risk lives, because sometimes some mothers think of suicide, some others think of killing this child, some others think of even killing their caregivers or like their husband and their house help. So just try to support a mom who maybe exhibits one or two signs of this by talking to them, and maybe therapy can help. Not can Therapy helps. If you feel like it's too much and you can't handle it, hook them up with a therapist. Okay, I think I'll wrap up this video at this point, and I'm asking you kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't. Like my video, give this video a thumbs up, and also let me know with your experience with postpartum depression, and let us not feel shy to talk about this thing. It happens, and it is something that we really need to make everyone aware of so that we do not lose people. Okay, it's a wrap. Bye.